There ain't no future unless we build it now. It's the future, there ain't no future unless we build it now. United States, Africa, we salute ya. A new state of mind, I introduce ya. Close your eyes and visualize the rise of a new paradigm. Solar powered skyscrapers.
Welcome to the Africa Must Unite podcast, a podcast dedicated to inspiring African people worldwide to rise up, organize, and struggle for Pan-Africanism, a unified, liberated, socialist Africa, the only permanent solution to the exploitation and oppression of African people, no matter where they happen to be born or happen to live in the world. Now please, welcome the hosts of Africa Must Unite.
Africa's future is now, so get ready.
Revolutionary greetings, everybody. Welcome.
Sorry.
Welcome. This is Africa Must Unite podcast. And who are we, Terrence?
We are the Pan-African Revolutionary Socialist Party, a.k.a. PRSP. I am Brother Terrence.
And that's Brother Terrence, and I'm Mama D, here for another episode of Africa Must Unite. And
yes. Fresh off our Garvey Fest here, Mama D.
Oh, wow. We were so happy to get that going in this virtual kind of way, right, Terrence?
Yes, so we might as well let people know, if you have not checked out the Garvey Fest, you could definitely log in and check it out on our Facebook page. And we're trying. Did we get it on YouTube yet, or we still gotta work?
No, it's not up on YouTube. It's because of all the music, you know. But it's definitely visit our Facebook page, Pan-African Revolutionary Socialist Party, Facebook, PRSP Facebook, and you could just the good thing is you could just watch it at your leisure, right? I mean, it's in 4 parts. And you're going to hear from some wonderful progressive revolutionary organizations, some of those that we featured and are featuring this year. You'll hear from them, and you'll hear so much more. So please visit our Facebook page.
Yes. So let's get it on right now. And like we usually do at this time, we like to start off with some calendar dates in the month of August.
Yes.
Better known as Agosti in Swahili.
That's right.
All right. So August 3rd here, Pan-African Edward Blyden, Pan-African giant, birthday was 1832, August 3rd.
A great influence on Kwame Nkrumah and others, you know, and we've been saying we want to study some of Blyden, and we got to take the time to do that, right, Terrence?
Absolutely. We definitely got to work more on Edward Blyden. We also want to move to August 8th, where the Zimbabwe African National Union was founded in 1963 on August 8th. Josina, let's not forget. Let's talk about August 9th, the International Day of Solidarity with women of South Africa and Namibia. Also on that day, 20,000 African women on Women's Day protested against past laws in South Africa in 1856.
Wow.
August 10th, Josina Michel, guerrilla organizer of Mozambique's Frelimo wing, was born in 1945, August 10th.
And you know, Samora Michel has a beautiful, when she passed, he wrote a beautiful poem to her in terms of his love and appreciation for the struggle that she waged for her people. It's beautiful.
Yes. Continuing, on August 13th, we had Fidel Castro, El Presidente Fidel Castro, born President of Cuba, 1926,
Yes.
August 13th.
Yes, yes, yes. That's why we say, we're not always looking at the color of the skin. It's your dedication to your people, the people, our people. That means a lot, because progressive revolutionary folk like Castro made a great contribution to us, and Cuba's still making a great contribution.
Continues to make that
Yes.
contribution. Yes. Moving on. This is just one of those powerful months. We had a lot of warriors born here.
Whoa.
August 17th, the Honorable Marcus Garvey, founder of the UNA, co-founder of the UNIA, with Amy Ashwood and Amy Jock Garvey there. Marcus Garvey was born August 17th, 1887.
Yes, another great
1887.
influence on Kwame Nkrumah and others, and of course us who celebrate Garvey Fest.
Oh, yes. August 21st here, a powerful date in history. We had the first major successful African liberation struggle. It began in Santo Domingo, Haiti in 1791. On that same day, August 21st, Nat Turner led
Whoa.
his slave revolt in Southampton, Virginia in 1831. So it's roughly 40 years later on the same date.
Yes.
And also, and if you just keep going with that, that's 140 years later, Soledad brother George Jackson was murdered by the U.S. Fascist police guards in 1971.
Man.
Yes,
That is
yes.
some great contributions. Great contributions.
Yes. We can't forget on August 27th here, W.E.B. Du Bois, another Pan-African giant, died in Accra, Ghana, 1963.
It's a wonderful poem that he has that's called Ghana Calls.
Oh,
And
yeah.
we have to look at a person's total life, don't we, Terrence? Because
Absolutely.
if you look at my life when I'm 13, please don't hold me to that. Because as the elders say, you live and learn. And Du Bois, went from struggling to integrate and calling, Marcus Garvey names to renouncing his U.S. citizenship and saying he wanted to go to Africa. And he was 91 or something. He wanted to be in Africa. And so he dedicates this poem. It's called Ghana Calls. It's a beautiful poem.
Mm-hmm. And just on that note, Mama D, because we, for some reason, with our youth and things of that nature, we in this era of what they call cancelization. So they're canceling people left and right for something. Say you've spoke like the boy did 10 years ago, but yet you decide to organize for the Black Lives. People are looking back 10 years and trying to cancel you, and your move towards change right now. So
it's unfortunate.
We gotta be leery of this.
It's a dialectical. A baby is born knowing nothing, and you got to feed them everything. And are you going to hold that human being to the baby status? It's crazy. Yes, so we're not going to hold anybody to an early life. We got to let them grow. I mean, life is a thing where you live and learn, and the more you learn, you hopefully change. The only person who don't change is like if you are somebody like Freddy Krueger, a monster or something. You know what I mean? I don't even want to bring his name up, but otherwise, Kwame Nkrumah change, or Marcus. The more you learn, the more you're gonna change, and hopefully move in a path of right. We say a righteous path is nothing but the right path toward your people. So, hopefully you live and learn and understand that you're not living on this earth as a slug, but you're living to sacrifice yourself for your people. And so you can't hold anybody 10 years ago or what they did 10 years ago. You got to give them a chance to grow and learn.
Yes, Dead Press said it best with their song "Learning, Growing, and Changing."
Beautiful, beautiful.
One of my favorite songs by them. Just finishing off this powerful month here, we cannot be remiss to not remind people of the tragedy on August 29th, 2005, when Hurricane Katrina revealed to the world the level of oppression experienced by the masses of African people in the U.S. So just for all you people out there who wants to point the finger at the puppet Trump, and yes, he's a puppet, and he's toting the line of the capitalists, but we cannot be forgetful of George Bush toting the same line 15 years ago when Hurricane Katrina happened.
And that is so right.
Yeah,
and I'm sorry, Terrence.
No, just in capitalism, period. This system does not provide for the masses of the people. We see that with coronavirus.
That's
so
right. And
that's
why we say, even in our Watoto Uhuru Shule, our Children's Freedom School, we sing a song, African People. And in that song, we say, we talk about the plan. It's not the man, it's the plan, the economic plan that shapes us. And so, Trump is not up there acting alone. He's acting according to, the wishes of the capitalists, who the ruling class, the capitalists who are running the world, global capitalism, actually. So, yes, that's such a wonderful point you make, Terrence, in terms of Katrina.
Yes. And finally, here on August 31st, 1962, in Indianola, Mississippi, Fannie Lou Hamer demands the right to register to vote in Indianola, Mississippi, 1962.
A powerful sister there. I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired.
Sick and tired. Oh,
and,
yes.
Aren't we all? And I noticed that there is Emmett Till on here. And Emmett Till, just in light of George Floyd, Trayvon Martin, and Breonna Taylor, and all the others, it's Emmett Till, 14-year-old, brutally tortured and murdered in Mississippi on the 28th of August in 1955. So you see, these things aren't new. These things are products. Racism is, national oppression. Sexism is, gender oppression. These are the birth children of capitalism. And so you can be fighting it all day long, but that's a belief that you're fighting, that, that one group of people are born inferior to another. But what gives rise to that kind of belief? That, that's nothing but an unfair economic system like capitalism. So we have this history of just being murdered.
That's it. And that concludes our date in August. Always just a powerful month. There's a lot of programs and functions going on because they call it Black August.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and especially in Cuba, people do things around Cuba with Black August. And it's just a lot of conscious things that goes on around the nation. The world, for that matter, called Black August.
And we need that for sure, Well, Terrence, all this year, some wonderful informative dates that you read. And the other thing we want to mention is that just our focus. And we are focusing all this year, 2020, on revolutionary Pan-African socialist organizations, those at home and those in the diaspora, whose objective is a unified socialist Africa. And why are we doing this? It's because we believe that our people should know about the organizations out here today, struggling to bring about a permanent solution to their exploitation and oppression. In Class Struggle in Africa, Osajifo, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah wrote, I quote, "The total liberation and unification of Africa under an all-African socialist government must be the primary objective of all black revolutionaries throughout the world. It is an objective which, when achieved, will bring about the fulfillment of the aspirations of Africans and people of African descent everywhere." End quote. So these revolutionary Pan-African socialist organizations that are being highlighted this year in our calendar 2020 and in our Africa Must Unite podcast are determined to work together in order to more effectively politically educate our people and thus to more quickly bring into existence a unified socialist Africa. And that's because we want the wealth that is generated from the richest continent in the world, Africa. This wealth will be used to benefit all African people, no matter where they happen to be born or to live in the world. And so this is why we always talking about Pan-Africanism, aren't we, Terrence?
Always. Because it's the quickest solution.
Yes, because socialism we definitely want. But because it's been years and years of capitalism in one form or another, if you talk about slavery, colonialism, whatever, and today's neocolonialism or global capitalism, racism, is ingrained in institutions throughout the capitalist world. So we can proclaim socialism, but for us as African people, and when we rise up, get on our feet, and have our wealth solidly behind us, we can demand, not just say, please, this is right, treat us right. No, we can demand, that we be treated right, that we be granted fair prices for our goods and services, all of these things. So we do want worldwide socialism, but we think for us as African people, the quickest solution to alleviating the pain and suffering, the exploitation and oppression that we feel every day is Pan-Africanism, a unified socialist Africa. So all of these organizations, Terrence, that we are talking about this year, including the one today, are those who believe that the struggle should be for Pan-Africanism. And the organization that we are really delighted to feature this month of August is Pan-African Community Action, PACA. And let me just read this short statement that they submitted for our calendar 2020. Pan-African Community Action, PACA, is part of a historic and global movement for Pan-Africanism, the liberation and unification of Africa and of African people on the continent and in the diaspora under the economic system of scientific socialism. As part of the Pan-African movement, PACA is a grassroots group of African Black people organizing for community-based power. PACA undertakes to build community-led power through political education and participatory programs of action that avow in advance two major things. One, our human right to informed consent and self-determination. And two, collective community control over the elements of land, political systems, economic systems, systems of justice, such as police and judicial, social systems, such as education and culture, and last but not least, ecological systems. And so this is the powerful statement that they submitted. And for more information, you can visit them at their on their webpage, PACA, P-A, all lowercase, pacapower.org. So we hope that you'll visit their site. And now, without further ado, we would like to bring on board a representative or two of PACA. Revolutionary greetings, my brother. How are you?
Doing well. Revolutionary greetings to you as well.
Well, I'm Mama D, and we have another person with us.
Revolutionary greetings, bro. My name is Brother Terrence of the Pan-African Revolutionary Socialist Party. Appreciate you coming on board.
Grateful to be allowed.
Well, welcome to the Africa Must Unite podcast, and we really are thankful for you taking time away from organizing our people in order to share your knowledge with us. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Maybe what we could do first is if you can introduce yourself.
Absolutely. So my name is Ahmed Malik Braxton. I'm a member of PACA BNB, officially since April of 2020, but began coming to the meetings based off of a prior connection. What encouraged me to join was seeing them do the work. It theorized on the meetings that I had been to before the pandemic had started, being applied in the midst of the pandemic. Things like community survival kits serving as a means to ensure anybody who wasn't able to sustain a mask, sanitizer was provided for. It seemed to be a true community-minded organization rooted in revolutionary principles, willing to check numbers when out of line. So it's been a great ride. I'm also an educator and teacher, and counselor back home in DC.
Wow.
And that's how I try to practice the work.
Yeah, you and Terrence. Terrence, what about you too, huh?
Yeah, educator right here in Milwaukee.
Hey.
Well, you told us a lot, even a little history of some background on PACA. Anything you want to add on, how it got started and when it got started?
Absolutely. So, PACA is a grassroots organization focuses on the empowerment of most systematically oppressed groups and raising up those in the margins of those oppressed groups. So women, youth, and trans people being the most. It existed since 2015, emerging from the need to address the special police killing of Alonzo Smith in D.C. The ultimate goal of PACA is liberation of the people through the vision of African scientific socialism. What this fundamentally means is a communal restoration of power. We must begin to leave the surface level of understanding of globalized white supremacy and break it down. So what this means and how to address it, PACA utilizes tools of community engagement, political education, and critical analysis, the history to fundamentally address concerns that have historically impacted the colonially displaced peoples that have come to be known as Black, African, American, whatever you want to call it. Housing resource area assessment, healthcare protection against structures which have historically disenfranchised the poor, the working class, and those who don't privately own.
Wow. Yeah, that's some great work and history and background. Terrence, you have a question you wanted to ask?
Yes. Bruh, when it comes to the current reality of DC, or the enemy's presence, our people's daily struggle, in reality for our sisters, what's going on there at DC, or the country, if you want to open it up to the U.S.
I'll start with DC because that's what I'm most familiar with. I'm a native to DC and the DC area, so I grew up going to schools in Southeast DC. Well, going to schools with people from Southeast DC. That's one of the roughest quadrants of the city. You got northwest, northeast, southeast, southwest. So southeast, I came back to teach there as well. It's the current reality is It's sad, man, and just in DC in general. The the great distinction and separation between Capitol Hill and just the reality of black people in the city is strong, and it's been that way for years and generations. Whether they have been during the crack epidemic, which still has residual effects today, and that's just nationwide, right?
Yeah.
Whether that be the results of um, generations removed from cycles of the prison system. We just had a mass shooting actually at a celebration day in the midst of a pandemic. Now, when we think of mass shootings, we don't typically think of black people because we always think that mass shooting is just an act of evil, and typically white school shooter is the first thing that pop up in our mind. But in reality, mass murdering of our people happens daily. But it's not simply because of who we are as a people. It's not because we are evil beings. It's because we are put in a capitalist system with deprived resources and continuously exposed to areas that trigger our traumas. And as a result, you're going to have people acting violently in order to gain some sort of material wealth, in order to feed back into this capitalist system. That's my belief on the current reality. There's also been an expectation of, I believe, I don't want to misquote it, so I'm going to look it up, in order to fact check myself. But there's an eviction crisis potentially on the rise in all black communities that are low income, because of the lack of rent stoppage during the COVID-19 process. The current reality of black people in America or African people in America is that we are continuously at the whims of this white American system. And that can be made evident through the political process that hit us again, the four-year cycle, right? Where we're put in a position again of lesser of two evils in order to continue to participate in this American system. These are just some of my thoughts in terms of the current situation of our people.
And Ahmed, in terms of the sisters out there and youth, any particular impact on them in terms of, you talk about capitalism overall and its impact on our people and the poverty, the eviction, the crack, but any particular manifestation of oppression and exploitation in regard to sisters and our youth?
In regards to the sisters and our youth, absolutely. Well, to start, Ben, if you see that a system that has been deemed globally successful, America, has made its money and made its success cemented through the exploitation of the most oppressed peoples, and you want to get yourself out of exploitation, what's the first thing you're going to do? You're going to exploit your own. That's why a crack epidemic could even happen. Because you have people are seeing it as a means out. And that doesn't stop with adults. It starts younger, people are in what has been deemed economically violent situations. Youth respond the same way. If there's there are youth who are drug dealers because they would like to put money in their pocket. There are, these are products of the situation that was created long before. We're talking about crack epidemics. The crack epidemic evolved into an opioid epidemic and a pill epidemic. There are youth who die through ingestion of pills. There are the repeated burden of racist trauma in this racist system has has led to a suicide crisis in this country in terms of our youth. In terms of our women, like I said, we internalized the oppression that was placed upon us. So for our women, there's high rates of domestic violence. And that happens because we see violence as the resource in order to hash out our differences. People are in domestically violent situations because they are with people who have experienced their own personal traumas and now reenact those same traumas on another person. Our women die and our kids die as a result.
Yes, you're right on with that one, bro. Especially the pill epidemic that you were talking about. It's just so prevalent in the youth, you know, and some of the videos that they may present out there on TikTok and what have you. It's like it's almost became an acceptable escapism, so to speak, from the conditions.
And then, you know, Ahmed, when you talked about earlier evictions, you know, I don't know in D.C., but in Milwaukee and a lot of major cities, it's a lot of the evictions are occurring in terms of women that single parent households raising children and trying to make ends meet. And so you see their struggle in terms of just trying to survive by paying their rent from month to month.
Exactly.
Another question for you. What are some of the programs that PACA is involved in?
All right. So PACA is involved in a number of programs. So, like I was saying, directly community control over the police. That's one of his big pushes. The community survival programs, where they would collect resources and donate them back out to the community in terms of protection against COVID-19. Political education with the Scottish Core Study Group.
Oh, that's beautiful.
When it was in person, that's how I first got turned on to PACA, actually. I went to a Scottish Core Study Group, and they were talking about finding ways to form co-ops intentionally as a means of accepting the direction of liberation. And they used Operation Jackson as a source of information and an example of what this could potentially look like. And so we had an activity where we actually thought these things through. And that was one of my first introductions to PACA.
Oh, wow. And
that's what blew me away. So we also have organized alongside those who are fighting to do something about the evictions in D.C. In order to combat the eviction crisis. So these are just a few of the things that PACA is talking about and engaged with.
And you know, those are so many wonderful things just in terms of helping our people withstand this time period. And we were just talking about an article that was written that was called, it was really in the New York Times, America Stands Alone. And it mentioned two reasons, you know, in terms of the being the nation, one affluent nation that has suffered a severe sustained outbreak for more than 4 months. The only one is the U.S. of affluent nations. And they said, you know, there are two main reasons. One, the U.S. has a tradition of prioritizing individualism over government restrictions. It's an aversion to collective action that helped to lead to inadequate state lockdowns and inconsistent adherence to mask wearing and all the rest of it. And two, that America's poor results stem in substantial measure from the performance of the Trump administration. But see, we would say the capitalist economic system. That's what they're talking about. You know, the whole idea of individualism and all of the rest, as opposed to a collective governmental response to this whole epidemic. It's just a mark of capitalism.
And to your point, Mama D, that government response is what happened in Vietnam. So Vietnam, a country of 100 million people, have less than 30 cases as we speak. And it's a short video on YouTube, 4 to 6 minutes about it. And the government state began planning for the virus in December of 2019. So they were planning for it. They have propaganda posted all throughout the country. The people get text messages every day. They have testing centers galore. They have sterilization stations where you can walk in the little booth and get sterilized before and walk out.
Wow.
The free rice dispensers are located so people can eat. They have all of the products, masks galore. Even they had so many masks that they even donated, which, capitalist mass media don't tell us, 450,000 masks came to this country from Vietnam.
But that's just the difference between and see, we're not going to say Trump or somebody else, because the political system is a product of the economic system. So he's just a puppet in place that can stay in place as long as the capitalists continue to make their wealth. And this other article says, while the people suffer, the capitalists are getting richer. Can you believe it? The stock market is swelling and going up daily. And they said the main reason that much of the stock market is successful has been the result of a run-up in value for a few big technology companies, including Apple, Amazon, and Microsoft, that make up a large share of the index. And retailers like Walmart and Home Depot are growing in part because small businesses have closed, allowing the bigger companies to take even more market share. So we suffer, but the capitalists are doing fine. That's the capitalist economic reality.
Bezos, Gates, Zuckerberg, Buffett, Ellison, they all profited since March.
Man, that is...
What blew my mind was Kodak. Actually, I think they received funding from the government.
It did.
Kodak, yes. Who uses Kodak anymore?
They revived themselves. They said they revived themselves.
Wow.
And they received the government bailout when people are going through, it's an eviction crisis in the country. Like priority.
Right.
And they getting bailed out.
And that's I'm sorry, Terrence. Go ahead.
No, go ahead, Mom.
I was just going to say, that's why we are convinced, all the organizations that we are featuring, including yours, Ahmed, the Pan-African Community Action, we are featuring these organizations because we believe that capitalism must be destroyed. And we believe that socialism is the best economic system because it's a for the people economic system, for the benefit and welfare of the people. But we also, all of us, believe that the quickest way to bring about a permanent solution for the exploitation and oppression experienced by African people and people of African descent, no matter where they happen to be born or to live in the world, is a unified socialist Africa, what we call Pan-Africanism. So while we, Ahmed, are working on, which rightfully we should be doing, the problems that our people are experiencing daily right now, we also are keeping our eye on and struggling for a permanent solution, and that's Pan-Africanism. And I'm so happy your organization agrees with that.
Yes, ma'am. Pan-African.
Well, we thank you,
Before I found this organization, I was that way.
Oh, we sure enjoyed your being here, and oh man, you're an educator. Look at all that knowledge you have. You and Terrence out there, and you know that's one of the big things because we can't let the capitalists raise our children. We got to teach them their history, culture, and current reality. So you know they won't be doing these suicidal kinds of things out here. And so you know you and Terrence out there. Struggling with our youth, man, that is a powerful something.
I appreciate it being on here. And Terrence, if we could connect in any way in terms of some form of collaborative education or anything,
absolutely,
I'd love to do that.
Absolutely. So I definitely got your information. Go reach out. We're gonna make this happen.
All right.
Well, thank you so much, Ahmed, and take good care of yourself. And we are so appreciative of Pan-African Community Action.
Thank you, Mama D. Thank you for your work.
Bye-bye now.
Forward.
Forward ever.
Forward ever.
Oh, I just said it's uplifting to connect, to engage in discussion with like-minded individuals and organizations who are working to help, solve the problems of our people, who see the big picture, who see that Pan-Africanism is the solution and work toward that. So,
and you're right. And you're so right. I mean, and you don't feel so alone, like you're out here struggling by yourself. When you connect like that, man, it energizes you.
Absolutely.
So, in subsequent months, at times with the help of invited revolutionary guests like we had this week, we will discuss various revolutionary Pan-African organizations that are struggling throughout the world to bring about Pan-Africanism, a unified socialist Africa.
Join us next month. That's September. We will be highlighting the Pan-African Federalist Movement in Nigeria.
Yes.
Pan-African Federalist Movement in Nigeria.
Meanwhile, leave comments on our website, prsponline.org. Like us on SoundCloud. Visit us on YouTube. Like us on our Facebook page. Just go to Facebook. Just put Pan-African Revolutionary Socialist Party on Facebook, and you will get to visit us and help us celebrate our 31st Garvey Fest celebration there.
Oh, yes, yes. And all out there, remember, organization is the key. Join the Pan-African Revolutionary Socialist Party or some other revolutionary Pan-African socialist organization. A union of African socialist states is on the horizon.
Boom, hey, I'm going home when my time come. Same place where the river run. Green grass, blue skies and sun. Heart a beat like an African drum.
Hey yo, I'm African. Although I was born in Los Angeles, I gotta get a tat to represent what my family is. Black skin, black bones, black man from the black planet. Black sand, black land. Back then I would have been on a ship, eating fish, taking weekend drifts in the sea to see if I could meet the French. Speaking tongues over drums, dancing and singing songs. You can see the long arm of the brothers we call all kin. African, I'm back again like I never left, never did. Heaven is Africa. I have to show my kids just how old the culture is. From California, but I wanna live in Africa.
Hey, I'm going home when my time come. Same place where the river run. Green grass, blue skies and sun. Heart a beat like an African drum.
Africa, Mother Africa, home of civilization, the cradle of mankind, the birthplace of creation, generated from stories integrated through generations, told by the ancients. You could say it's none greatest. Africa, the reign of Egypt, range of my people dispersed through the earth's surface. Before you could purchase vehicles, they greet you on the coast in a boat. You can't believe it, yo, it floats. And you niggas made weapons out of stone. Fucking built my homes out of stone too. And a statue of me, cause I wanna be a king too. Shoot, we could be buddies. We could trade agriculture and riches from different shores. But if you ever cross me, then we will go to war. You know the Lord, Savior, Creator, He made us humble, especially when the Romans tried to take over the jungle. So they stopped in the Middle East. We still can't get no peace. Soon as they see a diamond, they wanna slave us for a piece of Africa.
I'm going home when my time come. Same place where the river run. Green grass, blue skies and sun. Heart a beat like an African.
They call me the Homo habilis, cause I created the habitat before the great Homo erectus invaded half the map. He would catch a lion, kill him, and put his head on a stick, just to prove to everyone how strong he really is. You could say he lives on the most nurturing continent, the fruits and vegetables, long rivers, tall mountains, zebras, cheetahs, elephants, panthers, gorillas, the vast deserts, hot summers, cold winters. Man, a sister brought me back to my genes. African Eve had to teach the mother of agriculture a couple things, like we can speak English, European, Chinese, and my continent is the second largest you ever seen. Red, black, yellow, and green. Landman, sun in the trees. The first kings, the first human beings, the first everything. Afros, cornrows, bald heads, and long dreads. All said they were all bred in Africa.
Skies and sun, heart a beat like an African drum. Heart a beat, heart a beat, heart a beat like an African drum. Heart a beat, heart a beat, heart a beat like an African drum.